House.
Thank you very much. Now call on Senator Mary Moran, please.
Thank you, Lasca Hurley. I'd like to welcome the Minister to the House this evening as well. I would like to raise this evening the severe cutbacks to the service provided by St John of God Services in Drumcar, County Louth, and the effect that they are having on the users of the service. St John of God's North East Services provides for the care of people with an intellectual disability. This year alone, the cutbacks to the service have amounted to 1.5 million. Since 2005, the cutbacks have been over 4 million. I have first-hand experience of witnessing how the staff there have continually implemented increased efficiencies and how the staff have taken on additional responsibilities. Indeed, even one of the respite care workers recently said to me that even down to shower facilities and for things like shower gel and shampoo that used to be provided for it, that now the staff in their own time when they're doing their shopping buy shampoo to take in for the children or the adults in respite. So they have done everything that they can, but at this point they can no longer deliver the service and the previous levels of services, and it is the users, the service users and their families that are now being hit with the cuts. I want to just mention 3 parts to it. In the residential services alone, they will be unable to accept any more admissions, and I think we've raised this, I've raised this in the Seanad in the last couple of weeks, and so have other colleagues, where no more admissions unless there's specific funding is provided for such places. At present in Drumcar there are 60 people on the waiting list. And 7 are in need of immediate placements. And the big thing I think we need to look at here is that the people who are in need of residential care, and I know of one particular family that I am fighting hard for at the moment, where their daughter is a paraplegic and needs to be peg-fed and needs a full 24-hour care. However, there is no place for her. Her parents are getting, age is not on their side, and the mother's health is suffering. And, this girl now is left that, the mother is providing 24-hour care for her because there isn't a residential place available for her. Since on the respite care, since the 12th of June, there's now only 1 respite house in operation, where previously there were 2. As a parent of a child who uses the respite services, I mean, I am gutted on a personal level, as are the other parents who have come to me, that where before the children would have access to respite every month. Respite for children is now down to 10 days in the month and available for 20 days for adults. And if you divide that between the 80 children that are available looking for it and divide that among 10 days per month, you're talking about 1 day every 8 months. And for this, people are totally, they live for respite. They live for, it's the only break that they get. And I just feel that with all these cutbacks, if they continue to be implemented, if we don't look for something to help alleviate the cutbacks in St John of God's, it's only going to add more to the mental health issues of the families and the people who are helping to care for them. On the day services, again, students leaving the school or looking for the day services there now, the places are full at the moment. The DPE and the Venegas Centre, where traditionally students would go, they are full. And now one of the, in a recent letter that parents that we've all received from John of God's, they have, hesitantly said that it has been suggested in some forums that a way around the difficulty would be to have that perhaps the client might have 2 days day services 1 week and 3 days the next. Now, thank God they say it's not their intention to implement this system immediately, and to me that's detrimental. I mean, any other child leaving school at 18 knows that if they fill in a CAO form or they fill in a form for college, they know where they're going to go. And I think it's just awful that it's the children that are the most vulnerable that again are, being susceptible and are being hardest hit. There was also the traditional weekly allowance that John of God's used to give to their clients. Very, very small pittance, but it meant so much to them. It was a feeling of independence for them. And in recently speaking to the parents again, the clients there just cannot understand how they've lost what they call their money for their work, where they do their little part-time jobs in some of the service units within John of God's. So, as I said, I just think that, the programme for government, and I must say I fully support Kathleen Lynch and the government in her policy to maintain people in their own homes and the communities for as long as possible. However, to do this, we have to have adequate supports. And as I said, this is where, the respite options come in. People can do it if they know that they're going to get a break, even if it's, one night or 2 nights a month. Traditionally, respite used to be able to offer parents of children and adults 2 weeks holidays during the summer to be spread out. Now that can't happen. If there's a family emergency, there's no guarantee that respite is there. And when you can't feel that there's somebody you can go to, or that somebody that can help out if there is an emergency, it's a very scary place to be.
Thank you, Senator. You're over time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Call on the Minister to reply.
Well, I want to thank Senator Moran on behalf of Minister Lynch for raising this matter, and I'm pleased to take this opportunity to outline the current position in relation to St John of God's North East services. As the Senator is aware, St John of God Services provides services to adults and children with an intellectual disability. These services include residential respite and day services. St John of God's North East service is funded by the HSE under Section 38 of the Health Act 2004. Services are provided through a service arrangement which is signed on an annual basis and reviewed continually. St John of God North East Services received significant funding from the HSE of 27.7 million last year, 2011. As the Deputy is aware, the disability budget nationally was cut by 3.7% in 2012. The Health Service Executive National Service Plan states that at least 2% of this should not impact on services and needs to be generated from other savings and increased efficiencies. The HSE has advised me that there will be a maximum reduction of 1.7% of the funding for day, residential and respite services in the North East. The HSE is working in Dublin North East to address the 2% savings required by improving integration of staffing levels and the skill mix between day, transport and residential respite services to achieve cost reductions safely with minimal impact on frontline services. The HSE has assured me that it will endeavour to ensure that residential day respite and personal assistance services are protected where possible from reductions in frontline services. However, some reductions in services will be unavoidable, even with such efficiencies. The aim will be to tailor such reductions in a way which minimises the impact on service users and their families as much as possible. As a first step, the HSE has indicated a general reduction of 3.7% from the budget of disability agencies, pending the outcome of its discussions at a local level with individual agencies. I recognise the valuable contribution of St John of God's, and that in terms of making it to the provision of services to people with intellectual disabilities in Louth, Monaghan and Meath areas. The HSE is very much aware of the challenges service providers, including St John of God North East services, are experiencing, and the particular difficulties facing all health services in 2012. It is vital that all providers work creatively and cooperatively to ensure that the maximum level of services are maintained for service users within the funding resources available. In this context, the HSE are in ongoing active discussions with St John of God Services to minimise the impact of the budget reductions on services and clients.
Thank you, Minister. I must say, to minimise on them, they are already having a huge impact. I don't think it's minimal. I think it's certainly vast. And the other thing I think that we need to look at as well is that, as I said, we're trying to keep keep everybody at home as long as possible. But reductions like this will very often push families into making decisions where if the parents are elderly and they need care, they're going to push the families into making decisions about, you know, unfortunately having to look for residential care for people when they would prefer to look after them at home but can't because they don't have any other support. So I would urge the Minister to keep...
Yeah.
She more than anyone understands the
does. I agree with you, and I mean I do follow, and I know how difficult the situation is, but I just think that we need to keep highlighting it.
She more than anyone understands the importance of respite care and the necessity that it has to play in the context of a range of services being provided for people in this situation. I know that from my own constituency as well. And I think the crucial issue here is how do we maintain frontline services in a circumstance where there are obviously ongoing cutbacks taking place. Now, a lot of those decisions really should be left to local areas to determine and to provide in terms of the range of providers who are there. And, you know, insofar as the government is concerned, every effort will be there to minimise those impacts on communities locally. But I do appreciate the difficulty that the budget faces and the impact it has across a range of services and particularly on providers. And that's why I think the view of Minister Lynch and Minister Riley would be to how do we ensure that people work creatively with the budgets that are there. I mean, the reductions here are significant, but they are probably smaller than in other areas. And the question has got to be posed, how do we reconfigure the service? How do we change the question? How do we look at the issue of pay again to make sure that that the front line remains in place and that the services that are there for those people who need them? That has to be the priority for us all.